Welcome back, so happy to see you again, and today we'll compare these 4 note-taking apps I use every day according to these criteria over here, so we'll have a greater understanding by the end of this video on which one to pick, or as I do, combine them all. We'll start with how easy it is to create new notes, and this one is easily taught by Google Tasks. You can create new entries by clicking at the bottom. Other than that, it's incredibly easy to add new notes here in Apple Notes. Reflect works a little bit differently though, since you can also let it transcribe audio, but it's generally pretty easy as well to input new notes. Notion is also generally straightforward, although there is no way to view the latest modified notes in sidebar. They are all dropping down based on the last created. But here you can also create notes within notes, also called pages, so subpages. Aside from Google Tasks, all of them can be searched. Notion is a bit slower when it comes to search results. And in terms of favorites, all of them do well, although it's a little bit harder to find the option on Notion. And also on Reflect, by the way. In terms of linking notes, Notion and especially Reflect are very good at this, but in Apple Notes and Google Tasks you cannot link at all. And when it comes to reliability, here is what all of them except for Apple Notes are faltering a little bit. Let's start with Notion. I don't know why, but when I'm on the computer and I'll talk on the web version and want to open up new pages, it takes a while for it to load and I don't have a lot of information there. So technically it shouldn't load that much. Even on mobile, it can take a while. The app often restarts when I do other things for my phone. And especially for my account, it creates multiple workspaces every time I go back, something the Notion team has yet to fix, so that's probably a specific bug that's related to me, I don't know. When it comes to Reflect, it's generally quite smooth, but when you start up, you have to refresh it, and not big of a deal, but it's still something. And when it comes to the iOS app, they release a lot of new updates, often once a day. I mean, it's good that they improve, but when I have to go through the new update screen on test flight almost every day, it creates some other kind of friction. And lastly, Google Tasks might be an app that should be reliable, right? But for some reason, there is a bug that does not let me type anything when I try to add or modify a task. And the Google Task app often crashes too. But other than that, they're quite reliable. Now, in terms of accessibility, you can reach every app on the web and especially Notion and Reflect. For Apple Notes, you have to log into iCloud.com/notes, and if you have a Mac, you're better off using the desktop app already. And for Google Tasks, I just find it so silly that it's acting as a sidebar to Google Calendar, Google Drive, and Gmail, and not being its own app anymore. And all 4 of them are available on iOS, although Reflect is a beta app, so not in the App Store. And Apple Notes is obviously the most accessible on the iOS with its ability to make a quick note and stuff. On Android, however, only Notion and of course Google Tasks are available, so you have to look into different solutions when it comes to Reflect or Apple Notes. Let's say, for instance, Evernote or Obsidian, stuff like that. In terms of formatting, Notion provides by far the most abilities to format text, from standard bolding to code to whatever that should look like to colors. Reflect is a quite weird formatting, especially on the phone. You can do markdown features and have to press / for headings instead of the classic hashtag, but it's usually quite sufficient and I don't find it too much of a problem, except for when I'm on the phone, because then it's a little bit harder to make bolding. Apple Notes is quite basic when it comes to formatting. You can do headings, bolding, italics, underlines, strike through, bullet lists, and to-dos, but it's pretty much it. And for Google Tasks, you cannot format at all. So I'm a very big fan of spontaneous journaling and having one note for each day created. This is a core feature of Reflect, and you get into the daily note immediately when you open up the app. And for Notion, Apple Notes, you have to do it manually. Notion, ideally via database, and Apple Notes just by creating notes and naming the today's date. You can also do the same on Google Tasks too, actually, which you create a task and then you go in and refill and so forth. And for other features, here is where Notion truly shines. Databases, Kanban boards, lists and different views, embeds, everything. Plus you can integrate it to other apps. Not to mention Notion AI, which still blows me away a ton, and you can actually use it compared to ChatGPT, which seems to be at capacity all the time. I made a full video about Notion AI here if you're interested, and it's quite a pity it's not available on phones yet, because then I would use it way more. Notion is also the only one where collaboration can be done and is encouraged. So if you want to scale yourself with other people, like building a team and having different projects where everyone is involved, then Notion is the way to go. For Reflect, it's well integrated with Google Calendar, so you can see your events there and can create notes for them, which is quite useful when it comes to meetings. There's also native integration to Amazon Kindle, so whenever you highlight something, it automatically shows up on the dedicated notes with tags and everything. Readwise is redundant if you have Reflect. Okay, so while I was editing this, I quickly discovered that Reflect, aside from all the benefits mentioned, also has AI. That's pretty cool. So I will definitely make a follow-up video to this one, in which I go more deeply into Reflect as a whole and also towards its AI features, because I feel there's a lot to be told there. So yeah, Reflect always amazes me. Anyway, let's get back to the video. For Apple Notes and Google Tasks, they are quite simple apps, so they have nothing else going for them. Last, we have the price, and Apple Notes and Google Tasks are all for free, and you can use all of Notion pretty much for free too. For Reflect, it costs $10 a month, unless you happen to do a video about Reflect that the team likes and then you get lifetime access, which happened to me. But still, if you can afford it, Reflect is unbelievably awesome, and I'm even considering to stop using Apple Notes to go all in on Reflect, something I might make a video about, the full guide to Reflect. So what have we learned so far? As you can see on this picture right here, all of them have different strengths depending on which feature we are talking about. And this is why I use all 4 of them. Google Tasks for quick ideas, Notion for YouTube, Reflect for journaling, and Apple Notes for everything else. And then you get all the best of both, and I hope you have everything you need to make your informed decision on which one of those you want to lean in on or use all 4. Also, let me know below what apps you are using and what you want me to cover and how it's working for you. And I know note-taking apps are very popular between us, so there will be of course more videos like this. Until then, thank you so much for sticking around, and always remember that you're the most amazing human being alive.